All right, two more selection tools to go over in this lesson. The first one is called a quick selection tool, and the other one is a magic wand tool. Both can be selected with the letter W depending on which one you last selected. Let's go over quick selection tool first. And we do have some options up here to either add to the selection or remove from the selection. And the one thing about this particular tool is you actually use a brush in order to make your selection. So you just paint over an area, and then based on the settings and the contrast levels within the image will determine where that selection is placed. So it is a little similar to the magic wand tool in that it's going to find the contrast levels between one side of the edge and the other side and then place that selection along that edge. Auto Enhance will increase the accuracy of the selection, but it's not going to be 100% accurate. It's used for, well, quick selections. And let me show you how this works. I'm going to go ahead and increase the brush size so we can select a larger area faster. So I'm just going to click and drag and paint along my background here because maybe we just want to select our subject and not the background, but you can see it's getting into the hairline here, and that's because of the contrast level between the face and the hair is much greater versus the hair and the background. So now I need to hold down my shift key since I let go of the mouse button and I need to add to it. So I'm just going to go back around the image in the background here and continue until I have a good, decent outline of the body, which I don't. You can now see that we just have the shirt selected and none of the face or the hair. And again, that's because the contrast level between the skin and the shirt collar right here is much more versus the other areas. So it's going to snap along the higher levels of contrast areas versus the lower contrast areas. So now I can use my Alt or Option key to remove from the selection so that I can add the face back in as well as the hair. So this is a very good tool, even though it's not selecting what you want from the beginning, because it does it very quickly. If you compare that to the lasso tool or even the magnetic lasso tool, it would take you a long time to go along the edge and make sure that those anchor points are aligned to the edges where you want them, whereas I can do a quick selection like this, and then I can go back and refine the edges with another one of my favorite tools, which is this one right here, which is the quick mask mode. And I'm going to show you how to use that particular tool in an upcoming lesson. So the quick selection tool is a very good tool for making quick selections, and then of course you can refine that later on. All right, I'm going to go ahead and deselect that with Command or Control and the letter D, and then we're going to take a look at our magic wand tool. So this one gives us some different options. We have sample size, we have tolerance, and we have contiguous. So let's go ahead and go over what these particular options give you. So the magic wand tool is not a brush. You're not going to drag along a line or trace out an area to make a selection. In order to use this particular tool, you have to click in an area to make a selection, and then it applies that selection based on the contrast levels between one side of the edge and the other, but you can increase or decrease the sample size and the tolerance to either increase or decrease the amount that's being selected and giving you much more accuracy depending on the settings that you apply. So a point sample would simply be when you click, you're clicking on one pixel, and then it's going to take the information about that pixel and increase the selection around that pixel based on the tolerance level. So the tolerance level is a setting between 0 and 255, which is the luminance or the brightness of your image or the dynamic range, because we can only have a range between 0 and 255. So that pixel you select, so that pixel that you click on will have a certain amount of brightness, and the higher the tolerance number, the more that's going to be selected. So if I set this to 250 and click on this brick again, we can see that it selected a lot more pixels. In fact, it selected every pixel in the image. The entire document has now been selected. If we drop this down to 50 and click on a brick, we can see that it picked up a lot more of those pixels versus just this one brick as before. So the one pixel that I clicked on has a certain amount of brightness, and then I told Photoshop, based on my tolerance level of 50, I want to expand my selection based on this tolerance level. So pick out pixels within this tolerance range of 50. If we increase the point sample size, you can see there's a few different ones here. Let's say 3x3 average, then it's going to take the pixel you click on and a 3x3 pixel average, and then it's going to make those selections based on that average luminance of those pixels. So now if I click on this brick, we can now see a different amount of pixels have been selected. And the other thing is I have contiguous selected, and that's going to keep the range of pixels within the range that I clicked on. If I turn this off, then it's going to sample all the pixels in the image and then make the selection based on the tolerance level and the average pixel sample size, and it's going to select a lot more. So I'm going to click on this brick again, and now we can see a lot more pixels have been selected based on having this option turned off. So which selection tool should you use? The Magic Wand tool, the Quick Selection tool, Magnetic Lasso tool, the regular lasso tool, Quick Mask Mode? It really depends on the image and what you're trying to select. Some selection tools will work better than others. Some will work quicker than others. So it's just a matter of practicing and learning how to use all the tools. And then over a period of time with experience, you're going to have a better feel for what tool is going to work for the project that you're working on. And even then, if you select a selection tool and it's not giving you the results, then you know that you would need to select a different tool. But my main ones are the Quick Selection tool. The Magnetic Lasso tool will probably be third, but I do love using the Quick Mask Mode because it does allow me to fine-tune and tweak my selections fairly quickly. And then, of course, we have Select and Mask. Now, we haven't gone over either one of those, but we're going to explore those two in the next two lessons. All right, so with that being said, let's go ahead and end this lesson on our Magic Wand and Quick Selection tool. And in the next lesson, we're going to go ahead and work with our Quick Mask Mode.